Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. The U.S. Catholic bishops reiterated in a statement released on Monday, March 20, that gender transition procedures should not be carried out because they respect the truth that God created each person as a union of body and soul. The statement offered moral guidelines for Catholic healthcare institutions. The body is not a mere object, a mere tool at the disposal of the soul, one that each person may dispose of according to his or her own will, but it is a constitutive part of the human subject, a gift to be received, respected, and cared for as something intrinsic to the person, said the Committee on Doctrine of the U.S. Bishops. The bishops claim that the March 20 statement, titled Doctrinal Note on the Moral Limits to Technological Manipulation of the Human Body, is meant to provide moral standards for Catholic healthcare institutions to use in determining which medical interventions promote the true good of the human person and which are harmful. In New York, a pro-life pregnancy center that was damaged from arson in June last year has once again been attacked. Last Thursday, the Compass Care Pregnancy Services in New York's Amherst was found vandalized with pro-abortion graffiti. The word liars was found painted in red across the sign of the center at 1230 Egert Road in Amherst. It was later taken down and is estimated that replacing it will cost $2,000. Ever since the Supreme Court of the United States repealed Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion, there has been a spate of attacks on Catholic churches, shrines, buildings, and pro-life pregnancy centers. There are allegations that despite the string of attacks on churches and institutions, nothing has been done much to prevent it or nab the culprits. The Catholic bishops have extended an invitation to believers and those who have been newly joined to the Catholic Church to discover the beauty and goodness of Holy Mass during this Easter season. To facilitate this, they are releasing a 7-series meditation to be contemplated every Thursday from the Divine Mercy Sunday to Pentecost. This initiative is called Beautiful Light, a Paschal mystagogy, and it is part of the National Eucharistic Revival. In this series, noted Catholic orators and theologians will speak on the divine aspect of the Holy Mass. The series opens with a meditation on the sacrifice by Archbishop Charles Thompson of Indianapolis. Archbishop Timothy Broglio, the head of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, will also share his thoughts on the Paschal Mystery. Kaitley Javier, the Adult Formation and Hispanic Catechesis Coordinator of the Archdiocese of Washington, will round up the series with a meditation on the joy of Trinitarian adoration. The UK government's spring budget, which gives military spending the upper hand over humanitarian aid to underdeveloped nations, has angered church relief organizations in Britain. The budget, which the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, presented to the Commons last week, includes a commitment to increase the defense budget by £11 billion over the next 5 years, or nearly 2.25% of the gross domestic product. The Agency for Overseas Development of the Bishops' Conference of England and Wales said that spending £11 billion more on military is unforgivable when millions face famine in East Africa. A recent poll commissioned by Christian Aid found that 53% of British citizens believe the United Kingdom should take the lead in delivering humanitarian aid and fostering peace in nations that are experiencing crisis. By preventing the broadcast of an informal meeting of the members of the United Nations Security Council regarding allegations of human rights abuses by Pyongyang, the U.S. alleged that China was trying to hide North Korea's atrocities from the world. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield said certain council members are too willing to shield the government from accountability. She was subtly referring to China and Russia. China and Russia contend that the 15-member Security Council, which is tasked with upholding global peace and security, should not address human rights-related matters. They contend that such gatherings need to be restricted to other nation bodies such as the UN General Assembly or the UN Human Rights Council. The Republican governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, signed a new bill into law that permits the installation of a pro-life monument next to the state capitol to honor the lives lost to abortion. The privately funded monument to the unborn, which would commemorate the abortions that were carried out in Arkansas before Roe v. Wade was reversed last year, allowing states to enact their own abortion regulations. After the U.S. Supreme Court overturned 1973's Roe v. Wade ruling, Arkansas's 2019 abortion ban came into force last year. The law states that abortions are only permitted when the procedure is required to preserve the mother's life in the event of an emergency. In Brazil, a Catholic priest and pro-life champion has been ordered by a court to pay $10,000 as damages to an obstetrician. It was Father Luis Carlo Lodi da Cruz, president of the pro-life movement in Anápolis, who was told by the court to pay the damages to Olimpio Moraes Filho on March 17. The doctor accused the priest of branding him a murderer and making slanderous accusations on the pro-life outfit's website. The incident took place in August 2020 when the doctor decided to perform an abortion on a 10-year-old girl who was 22 weeks pregnant after being raped by her uncle. He claimed that pro-lifers and evangelical lawmakers protested outside his clinic and shouted offenses. This is not the first time that the priest is being convicted. In 2016, Father Lodi was told by the court to pay damages to a couple for preventing the abortion of a fetus with body stalk syndrome. A draft law on pre-university education has been proposed by the Romanian Minister of Education. It includes a clause on teaching sexual diversity in the classrooms, which churches in Romania strongly oppose. Diversity is one of the fundamental principles upon which the primary education system is built, according to the draft of the new education law. The plan also states that educators must encourage diversity and instill inclusive and tolerant values in their students. Additionally, it states that it is unlawful to discriminate based on sexual orientation. Religious organizations are requesting that these clauses be changed by Minister of Education Ligia Deca. A letter was written by 13 officially recognized religious organizations. Patriarch Daniel, the head of the Romanian Orthodox Church, is the driving force behind the project. The organizations asked for the diversity clause in the new education law to be removed. In Nigeria, the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja has expressed hope that people who fled militant attacks from the north and are now residing within the limits of the archdiocese can someday find peace and tranquility in their homeland. Archbishop Ignatius Kegama expressed this hope while visiting St. Paul's pastoral area in the capital on March 19. Some of you may have been here as displaced people for up to 10 years because the atmosphere back in your ancestral homes is not safe, he further said. The prelate said he visited them to pray for them and exhorted them not to give up hope. God will take care of you and will return you someday to enjoy more the peace and security of your homes, just as he returned those exiled to Babylon back to Jerusalem, he said. He also said that the assembly and gubernatorial elections will produce good leaders. A U.S. aid worker and French journalist who were kidnapped by militants in West Africa have been released. Jeffrey Woodkey and Olivier Dubois arrived at the airport in Niger's capital, Niamey, on Monday. Dubois was held hostage in neighboring Mali for over 2 years, while Woodkey went missing in Niger in 2016. Their release was obtained following attempts from Nigerian officials. Interior Minister of Niger, Hamidou Soley, said that they were released after months of efforts by Nigerian authorities and then turned over to French and U.S. authorities. The details of how and when the men were freed from their captors are unclear. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan thanked the authorities in Niger for their release. French President Emmanuel Macron also thanked Niger in a tweet. On the 20th anniversary of the outbreak of the civil war in Iraq, the Apostolic Nuncio to the Middle Eastern nation, Cardinal Fernando Filoni, has praised the intervention of the Church. The Cardinal said the Church would never abandon a situation where things are difficult despite the war. He said, as a nuncio, he was there to assure the solidarity of the Church for the sake of the peace and to defend the rights of civilians. He said the Church also experienced the same difficulties faced by people there at that time. He added that after the ousting of Saddam Hussein, Iraq underwent profound changes. The Cardinal said that although Iraq was a Muslim country, Christians are free to practice their faith, although no evangelization was allowed. He also said that at the start of the new millennium, Christians comprising Chaldeans, Orthodox, and Latins were respected. The hugely viral Asbury phenomenon, in which a praise and worship session on a Christian university campus here in the U.S. went on uninterrupted for days at a stretch, is now crossing the borders and moving to Europe. The prayer initiative, entitled Alabanza 24 Horas, will take place on March 25th at the parish of the Dominican Friars of Alcobendas. It will be a 4-hour session of praise and worship before the Blessed Sacrament, and the organizers hope it will go on uninterrupted for a month. There will be 12 teams in charge of the praise and worship sessions. It is being organized by the Dominican community and its prior. The event is the brainchild of Adolfo Alustiza and Juan Luis Vasquez after they came to know of the incident in Kentucky here in the U.S. that went viral on social media. A new report from the Somali government and the United Nations speculates that around 43,000 people may have died in Somalia last year as a result of several unsuccessful rainy seasons. It represents the first confirmed death toll resulting from the Horn of Africa drought. Under 5-year-old children are considered to account for half of the fatalities. The crisis is far from over, and 18,000 to 34,000 additional deaths are anticipated in the first half of this year. Almost 250,000 people in Somalia died in a famine in 2011. A nun here in the U.S. belonging to the Sisters of Mercy, who is a lifelong advocate for people with developmental disabilities, has been chosen for the Letare Medal of the University of Notre Dame for the year 2023. 92-year-old Sister Rosemary Connolly is the recipient of the prestigious Catholic Award. She is the chairwoman of the board of the Misericordia Foundation, which is a non-government organization here in Chicago that provides home and custodial care to kids with disabilities from birth till age 6. In 1969, she joined the organization as executive director. Under her care, more than 600 children have been taken care of. A native of Chicago, she was born in an Irish immigrant family. At the age of 19, she joined the Sisters of Mercy and taught in the Archdiocesan school system. The Letare Medal is announced on the fourth Sunday of Lent, dating back to 1883. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.